Welcome to part 2 of Jamey Heath's October 8, 2025 deposition. Hudson. Mr. Heath, do you ever record phone calls? I have. Do you have a practice of recording phone calls? Shapiro. Objection. Jamey, I do not. Hudson, how often do you record phone calls? Shapiro. Objection. In my entire life, I've recorded 3, maybe 4 in the same period of time. Hudson, in your entire life, you've recorded 3 or 4 phone calls? Correct. And in what? When were those phone calls recorded? Sometime at the months, but in 2024 of, I believe, around August, I believe maybe July, somewhere in there. And were all of those phone calls that you recorded related in some way to It Ends With Us? Shapiro. Objection. Jamey, in some way, yes. Hudson, Sunday, we received a production of 4 call recordings under your Bates label starting with Heath. Are those the calls that you recorded? Shapiro. Objection. Jamey, yes. Shapiro, don't testify as to any information provided by counsel to you. Hudson, and just so I understand, in your entire life, you have never recorded a phone call except for the 4 calls that were produced to us. Is that right? Shapiro. Objection. Jamey, not that I can recall. Other than if, and I don't have a particular memory, but so I'm forthright, there have been a few therapy calls I've had over my lifetime that the therapist would suggest to record for the reflection, but I don't have a particular memory of if I did or not. Hudson, and in those calls, both you and the therapist knew that the call was being recorded, right? Correct. And you said it was maybe 3 or 4 calls. Could you not remember that it was 4? Shapiro. Objection. Jamey, I just wanted to be accurate. Hudson, do you ever record Zoom meetings? I have no memory of recording a Zoom, unless it has been a Zoom that everyone knows is being recorded for whatever the purpose it would be recorded. So you have no recollection of ever recording a Zoom without the participants all knowing that a Zoom is being recorded. Is that right? Correct. And sitting here today, can you recall any Zooms that were recorded even in that manner? Shapiro. Objection. Hudson, I'm going to strike that question. Let's go back to the calls. You said there were 4 calls that were recorded in the July to August 2024 timeframe, correct? Shapiro. Objection. Jamey, I believe they were that time. Hudson. Okay, for each of those calls, let's start with your first one you recall. The earliest call that you recall recording. Shapiro. Objection. Hudson, where were you located? I don't recall the sequence of them, so okay. If you'd like to pick a call and we can talk about that particular one. Well, there was one call that sounds like the participants are Stephanie Jones and Jennifer Abel. Is that accurate? There is one that includes Stephanie Jones and Jennifer Abel. I don't know that it includes Jennifer Abel, but okay, so there is a call that includes Stephanie Jones. Is that right? Correct. All right, when was that call made? Sometime in August, the beginning of August in 24. And where were you located when that call was recorded? I believe I was in Chicago. Where were you in Chicago? Were you in an office? Were you in a car? What was your physical location at the time the call was recorded? I don't recall. You don't recall whether you were moving at the time the call was made? Shapiro. Objection. Jamey, I don't. I may have been. I don't. Hudson, other than you and Stephanie Jones, did anyone else participate in the call? What do you mean participate? Was there anyone else present for the call? Oh, there could have been. I don't recall. Specifically. You don't recall if there was another woman involved that participated? I don't. And where was Stephanie Jones located for that call? I don't know. Why did you record that call? I felt the need to document what I was unsure and felt uneasy with Stephanie's. I don't want to say her state of mind, but what she might or might not say that felt contentious. Were you concerned that she was going to tell Sony that she did not place a story in the Daily Mail? Shapiro. Objection. Jamey, well, no, I was not concerned. Why don't you ask the question again, because I might need it rephrased? Hudson, were you concerned that Miss Jones was going to contact Sony and tell them that she had not placed an article in the Daily Mail? Shapiro. Objection. Jamey, no, that wasn't my concern. Hudson, why did you feel the need to record the call? Shapiro. Objection. Jonathan Bach entering deposition room. Jamey, at this point, I had grown concerned with Stephanie's ability to adequately represent and speak on our behalf. And based on some previous conversations with her, I was losing confidence. And I knew this was a testy situation. And I wanted to document anything she might say to me. Hudson, did you tell Miss Jones that you were recording the call? I did not. Why not? Simply because I wanted to have documented where she was or her state of mind was, and I didn't allow her to know. You didn't want her to know? I didn't deliberately think I didn't want her to know. I just didn't announce it. Were you planning to use it against her in some way? No. And you said you couldn't remember if there was a third person listening in to the call? I just don't recall. But if there was, then I'm not saying there wasn't. I just don't recall it. So you don't remember, for example, if at some point you muted the phone call and talked to another party who was overhearing that call? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I haven't listened to the call other than that one time I listened to a portion of it. I don't recall when, so I just don't. Hudson, do you recall specifically the subject matter that you were discussing? Yeah. What was the subject matter? The subject matter was essentially I had learned that she may have been someone that contacted, I believe it was the Daily Mail, but an outlet. And I was trying to work through it, and my primary concern was that. And her primary concern was defending herself, or that she said that she didn't. I wasn't focused on that part of it, but rather, what I needed her to do as someone that represented us. And you don't recall if there was another person there, but if there was, I'm happy for you to tell me there was, and I won't. And I'm not here to deny it. Well, there is another. There is a woman's voice on the recording. Okay. And what I would like to know is, did you announce to the other person whose voice is heard on the recording that you were recording? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't have a memory of that. Hudson, so you may also have recorded that person without their knowledge. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, sure. Hudson, you said you haven't listened to the recording, is that right? Other than the one time I just stated, which I don't recall when I listened to a portion of it, but I don't recall when that was. You didn't listen to it before it was produced in this case? No. How long have you known that you had it? Since I recorded it. Since the time you recorded it until the time you produced it, did you share it with anyone? Shapiro, objection. He didn't produce it. The lawyers produced it. Hudson, okay, thank you for that clarification. Until the time you recorded it, through the time that your lawyers produced it, did you share the recording with anyone? Shapiro, other than your lawyers? Jamey, yeah, I don't believe so. Hudson, you didn't play it for any other person? I don't believe so. And when did you first share the recording with your lawyers? I don't know. Was it, I think Mr. Baldoni testified that he became aware of some recordings that you made in January of 2025. Early 2025, did you share, I'm sorry, repeat that, in January 2025? In early 2025, I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Baldoni testified that he became aware of some of the recordings you did in early 2025. Oh, I see. Okay. Not things that I recorded in 2025, that he became aware of recordings in 2025. Correct. Did you share the recording with your lawyers around that same time period as well? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't know when it was shared. There's been so much to hand over. I don't know. Hudson, but safe to say you shared it before Sunday of this week. I imagine so. Other than describing the general subject of that call, do you recall anything else about what was said on that call with Stephanie Jones? I don't remember specific words, but the sentiment of the call for sure, in which you described already. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, this was at a time when we were doing everything we can to manage through a really tough situation. And we were trying to keep any fires from developing of speculation and chaos. And at this point, there was Hudson. So just so you're clear, Mr. Heath, I'm sorry. My question is not why you recorded the call. It was if you recall what was said. Okay. And you said you recall the general sentiment of the call. So I was trying to get there. Okay. Shapiro, counsel, can you not interrupt him when he's finishing an answer, please? Hudson, I wanted to strike the answer because it wasn't responding to my question. Hudson, my question is, do you recall what was said on the call? Yeah, I'm doing my best to answer it. Okay, well, I don't need to know all of the background and sentiment. I just need to know if you remember, what was said. Shapiro, objection to the commentary. Jamey, okay, I will do my best. Hudson, thank you. Yes, we were discussing for quite a while that I did not want her to contact anybody, as we were trying to maintain a position of being careful with everyone another so that we did not bolster something. And in that conversation, she was only concerned with any allegation or insinuation that she may have been the one to make this call. And while I very much understood her position, by making a call at that time would only add fuel, and I did not want that to happen. And you mean making a call to Sony? Making a call to anybody. Sony wasn't really it. I don't recall it was only about Sony. It was about also contacting whoever the person was from the Daily Mail or doing some investigation. So that is what I was really focused on, was that she was doing her job in that regard and she was more concerned about herself. And while I may understand that on a personal level, from a business perspective, we were not seeming to be aligned. And that was the basis of the call. Okay. And did you record the whole call or did you start recording at some point after the call had begun? I believe it was into the call, at some point into the call. And you recorded it on your phone? In other words, you didn't have another recording device, right? I don't know how I recorded it. I probably used maybe somebody, I don't know how I recorded it. I probably used maybe I used somebody's phone and asked them if I could use their phone for it. Or maybe I don't recall how I did it. Okay. Because I believe I was on my phone speaking to her, so I may have used something else. Do you have a device that you use for recording calls? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, no. I would have used somebody else's phone or somebody else's device to record it. Hudson, there was another call that sounded like it included Josh Greenstein, Danny Magan, and Gloria Hahn from Sony. Was that one of the calls you recorded? I don't recall if it was those three, but if this was a Sony marketing call, yes. Do you recall recording a Sony marketing call? That particular one seems to be the one. That's the only one that I have that I know was recorded. And you said you don't know if those were the participants. Do you recall recording? Do you have in mind? Yes. The specific participants for a call that you recorded? I remember recording a call, and I believe that I don't know if all three of them were on. I can't recall exactly that, but that would be the call that you're mentioning. You're now identifying the names. I'm just not sure if all of that is accurate. Are there any of those three that you recall with certainty were on that call? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I'm not certain. I'm not certain who was on that marketing call. Hudson, but if they're if they're identifying themselves as Danny, Gloria, and Josh on the call. Yeah, it would be that. Let me finish my question. Sure. If they're identifying themselves as Danny, Gloria, and Josh on the call, then it would be safe to say that those are the people that were on that call. Is that right? Yes. Shapiro, objection. Hudson, and where were you located when that call was recorded? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, do you mean state? Hudson, city and state. Yeah, I believe I would have been in Los Angeles. And where in Los Angeles? In your office or home? I don't remember. Do you know where the other participants in the call were located? I don't. I don't know if they were working remotely or out of their offices. I don't. And is it your understanding that Danny Magan, Gloria Hahn, and Josh Greenstein work in Los Angeles also? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, it is. Hudson, and why did you record that call? We were at a point where we were discussing and being told that we were not allowed to either go to the premiere or if there was, what that would look like separately. We were trying to navigate through all of that and all that led up to that, and I did not know who to trust at this point, and I was concerned. What was the point of recording the call? So I could listen, reflect back to it, possibly. A lot is said, and I wanted to have some sort of memory of it to document it. Did you tell any of the participants in the call that you were recording them? I did not. And why not? I didn't consciously think of why not. I just didn't. Well, if you were just using it as a record, couldn't you have said, I would like to record this call to keep a record? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I could have. Hudson, were you intending to use the call against the participants in some way? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, no. Hudson, who, if anyone, did you share that call with? Other than my lawyers? I don't believe anybody. And did you, when you provided the calls to your lawyers, did you do it all at the same time, or did you provide them one by one? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't recall. Hudson, so you may have not provided them all at one time. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I may have provided one in one day, maybe one the next day, in reviewing what I had, doing the best I could. Hudson, okay, is there anything that you recall being said on that call that stands out to you? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't remember the call. I don't remember the content of the call. Hudson, did it relate to the premiere? It related. Of the film? Correct, it related to the premiere. That was the purpose of the call, but I haven't listened to it since. There was another call that it sounded like Patrick Whitesell at WME. Does that sound familiar? It does. Who else participated in that call? There was somebody on his team. I don't recall who it was. Was it Marie Sheehy? It may have been. Did Danny Greenberg participate in that call? I don't remember. He could have. How about Jennifer Abel? I believe she was. Where were you located when that call occurred? I believe I was in my office in Los Angeles. Correct. And the other participants, to your understanding, were they all also in Los Angeles? I don't know. I don't know if they all were, so I don't know. Do you understand that Patrick Whitesell typically is located in Los Angeles? Friedman, Whitesell? Hudson, yeah. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't know. I don't know where he spends most of his work time. I don't. Hudson, and how about Danny Magan? Did you understand that Danny Magan works out of Los Angeles? I believe so. Okay, and resides in Los Angeles so far as you know. I don't know where she resides, but I'm sorry, Danny Greenberg? Danny Greenberg? Yes. Yes, I know that he's in Los Angeles, yes. Okay, and Jennifer Abel, you understand, also lives in Los Angeles. I do. Okay, you mentioned earlier that you may have recorded someone's phone to make a recording. Whose phone would you have borrowed for the Stephanie Jones call? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't know. I don't recall the actual mechanism of what I did at that moment, but I could have borrowed someone's phone so I can record it. Hudson, I believe you said you listened to part of the Stephanie Jones call. Did you do that after Miss Lively filed her CRD complaint in California in December of 2024? I believe so. And did you send the call to your lawyers before, either this Jones call or any of the 4 calls to your lawyers before you sued Miss Lively? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't recall the time. Hudson, did you announce to any of the participants in the call with Patrick Whitesell that they were being recorded? I did not. Why did you record that call? I was incredibly worried of what I was hearing about Miss Lively and Mr. Reynolds and how they were speaking about us. And during the call, or the purpose of the call, from what I understood, was Patrick Whitesell wanted to discuss with us that Mr. Reynolds and Miss Lively had some feelings and that unless we fell in line to some degree, the gloves would come off. And I started feeling threatened at this point, so I wanted 100% to have something of that nature documented and not just rely on my memory if I needed to reflect on it. And why didn't you just tell the participants that you were recording them? That wasn't my concern at that time. And when you say threatened, what do you mean by that? I don't know what it meant. I felt quite vulnerable. Not physically threatened. Not physically. And did you mean threatened in that Miss Lively might make allegations that she believed she was harassed in the workplace public? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, no, that wasn't it. Hudson, that wasn't it? No. Shapiro, objection. Hudson, you can't articulate what the threat was? Shapiro, objection. Hudson, is that right? I can articulate a host of things. A host of things that led up to that moment. Do you want me to do that now? No, I don't. I'm not asking you to articulate a host of things. I'm asking if you can articulate the threat. What is the threat that you believe what did you believe you were being threatened with? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't know what the exact threat was. Hudson, okay. I can only articulate all of the feelings that led me to feel that there was a threat. Okay. And you said there was another call. There was a 4th call. Do you recall who was on that one? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I'm happy for you to tell me who's on that one. I can speak to it. Hudson, was there another call with Danny Greenberg? There was. And who else participated in that call? I believe Jen was on that call. Jen Abel. Anyone else? I believe there was someone else from his side, but I don't recall who. From Danny Greenberg's office? I believe so. From WME? I think so. Okay. I don't exactly remember. And where were you when that phone call was made? Same place, in my office. In your office in Los Angeles? Correct. And you said Jen Abel and Dan Greenberg reside in Los Angeles. Do you have any reason to think they were anywhere other than Los Angeles for that call? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, no. Hudson, and with respect to all of the calls other than the one with Stephanie Jones, what device did you use to record those? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I was on the phone, so I may have used my computer or iPad, whatever. Something of that nature that was there. I don't recall which. Hudson, so you believe you used some device other than your phone? Yeah, I was on my phone and I used, I believe, my computer maybe, but I don't know. I don't recall. Okay, and did you tell any of the participants in the call that you recording them? I did not. And Danny Greenberg was Wayfarer's agent at that time. He's actually Justin's direct agent, or was his agent. So he adjacently would help with Wayfarer and have calls, but he wasn't officially Wayfarer's agent. So Danny Greenberg was Mr. Baldoni's agent, and Jen Abel was Wayfarer's publicist, correct? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, correct. And she's also Justice's publicist, was acting as publicist on behalf of Hudson. And why did you recall why did you record a call with them? Danny was calling to read to us a letter that we were told was written by Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. And they were going to articulate the call to me, so I recorded it so I could have the letter documented. Why didn't you announce to them that you were recording the call? That wasn't what I was thinking at the time. I just wanted to record it. Why not tell them? I didn't have a conscious thought about it. What did you intend to do with that recording? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, exactly what I said. They were articulating to me a letter that they would not send me so I could have it and review it, so I recorded it so I could have that. Hudson, okay, and did you share that recording with anyone other than your lawyers? I do not believe so. You didn't share it with Mr. Baldoni? I do not believe so. Okay, and have you listened to that call since you recorded it? Probably around the same time I reviewed the other ones, so maybe when I sent them over to our legal team. And you believe you listened to all of those calls and sent them over to your legal team after Miss Lively filed her lawsuit? Shapiro, objection. Hudson, or her CRD complaint, I should say, in December of 2024. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, is that when I would have sent it to our legal team? Hudson, did you listen to them and send them to your legal team after Miss Lively filed her CRD complaint? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, that's what I can recall. I don't have a particular memory of it. Hudson, you said that you had been friends with Mr. Baldoni for about 20 years. Or you knew him for about 20 years, right? No, I had met him about 20 years ago, yeah. And at that time, was it before or after Mr. Baldoni was in college when you met him? I think I testified that I knew of him, or maybe I had seen him for the first time. He came to town, so I'd only seen him a couple times, so I don't know. Were you friends with him in college? No. You heard him tell the story of his college girlfriend at his deposition yesterday. I did. Has he told you that story before? I know parts of that story. He had told you parts of that story? I knew some parts. He's shared this publicly, I believe, about it. This incident. But did the two of you ever have a one-on-one conversation about it? I don't think so. You don't think so? Has he ever told you who his college girlfriend was? No. So you don't know the name of his college girlfriend? Absolutely not. Have you ever seen a picture of his college girlfriend? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't know the name. I don't know who she is. I know nothing about her. Hudson, okay, let's take a look real quick. Do you want me to read something? Hudson, I will hand you a document that we're going to mark as Exhibit 1 to your deposition. Exhibit 1 marked for identification. Jamey, you got it. I don't gotta read this whole thing. Do you want me to read the whole thing? Hudson, I do not want you to read the whole thing. I'm going to point you to specific language that I want you to look at. But let me ask you generally, as you're flipping through this, do you recognize this as Wayfarer's employee handbook? Shapiro, Mr. Heath, read as much as you need to answer the questions. Hudson, well, I have no question pending right now, and I don't need you to read the whole thing. I just want you to identify it as Wayfarer's employee handbook. Friedman, I would caution you to read the whole thing also. Hudson, counsel, I don't have a question pending other than, is it the employee handbook that has Mr. Heath's Bates stamp on it? And I just want to remind everyone for the record that only one lawyer is permitted to object on the record, and there should be no coaching of witnesses, no speaking objections. We don't need to tell the witness every time he gets a document to take his time and read it, okay? Shapiro, we don't need any more speeches. Friedman, and you should stop speaking also. Shapiro, you should stop speaking. We don't need speeches from you. You're here to ask questions. He's here to answer them. And that's how we're going to proceed. Hudson, well, the way we proceed is if you continue to do that, we will stop the deposition and I will call the court. So one, Shapiro, that's fine. Hudson, one lawyer at a time and no speaking objections. And also, Shapiro, no commentary from you. Hudson, no coaching the witness. Shapiro, there's been no coaching of the witness. Hudson, yes, there has. Both you and Mr. Friedman. Shapiro, no, there has not. Hudson, both said simultaneously to take your time reading a document. Shapiro, can you please just, your questions and Friedman, let's go. Shapiro, Mr. Heath will answer them? Hudson, I will. Shapiro, that's what we're here for. Hudson, that is what I will do next. Shapiro, thank you. Jamey, okay, I don't need to read the whole thing. I know what this is. I want to just make sure that this is in fact, Hudson, my question is this the employee handbook? It appears to be. Okay. And you said previously that you reviewed the employee handbook, correct? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, yeah, I've reviewed this before. Hudson, okay, let's take a look at I'm going to direct your attention to the document Bates stamp 4947 at the bottom. Okay. And this is at the top. It says as read, equal employment opportunity, anti-discrimination, anti-harassment, and anti-retaliation policy. Do you see that? I do. And it begins by saying that as read, Wayfarer Studios provides equal employment opportunities to all employees. Do you see that? I do. And it also provides that as read, Wayfarer is committed to providing a workplace that is free of discrimination. And then it provides a number of different categories that are protected from discrimination. Do you see that? I do. And those categories include sex. Do you see that? I do. And gender. Yes. And also pregnancy and marital status. I do. Okay. And you understand those are categories of characteristics that are protected under Wayfarer's policy. I see that. And you understand that also. That was my question to you. You understand that as best as I can, not being a lawyer or an HR expert. Fair enough. And if you go down a little bit further on this page, there is an anti-harassment policy. Do you see that? I do. And this policy says that, as read, sexual harassment and any form of harassment based on any protected category is prohibited. Do you understand that? I do. And you understand also that the policy applies to all individuals involved in the operation of the company. I do. And anyone who comes in contact with the company. Shapiro, objection. Hudson, you understand that as well. Do you have a particular line that I can read? Sure. That can refresh my understanding of it? Sure. The next line says that, as read, Wayfarer Studios prohibits harassment, disrespectful, or unprofessional conduct by any employee of the company, including supervisors, managers, and coworkers, and then goes on to say that, as read, the policy also applies to vendors, customers, independent contractors, unpaid interns, volunteers, persons providing services pursuant to contract, and any other persons who employees may come in contact with. I see that. Okay, and you understood that as well, to the best of my ability, yes. All right, if you could, I will direct your attention to the next page that ends in 34948. The second paragraph discusses sexual harassment specifically. Do you see that? I do. And it says, as read, sexual harassment is strictly prohibited. Did you understand that to be Wayfarer's policy? Yes. And did you also understand that under Wayfarer's policy, sexual harassment includes harassment that is not necessarily sexual in nature? It gives examples, offensive remarks about one's sex or gender. Right, but you understood that sexual harassment doesn't necessarily have to be sexual in nature. I understand that as long as we continue that sentence, because we're not pausing at a comma or a period, so I believe that the whole sentence needs to be included in order for me to respond. So you believe that the part of the sentence that says sexual harassment does not necessarily have to be sexual in nature is not a standalone sentence that you... No, yeah. I'm not trying to argue that. I just don't want to give commentary on a portion rather than the whole thing. That's all. Well, setting aside what... Do you understand generally that sexual harassment does not have to be sexual in nature? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, to the best of my understanding, I think that generalization is probably correct, but I am no expert in this. Hudson, okay, and it includes, like you said, offensive remarks about one's sex or gender, right? According to this policy. It does. And it also includes, as read, verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature when the submission of such conduct is either implicitly or explicitly a term of condition of employment, or the conduct has the purpose or the effect of substantially or unreasonably interfering with an individual's work performance by creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Do you see that part? I see it. And you understand that the behavior is not, the conduct is prohibited, even if it has the effect of substantially or unreasonably interfering with an individual's work performance. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I see what it says there. Okay, and I just want to make sure you understand, not just see, the conduct that has an effect is prohibited under your policy as well, not just conduct that has purpose. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I see what it says there. Hudson, and you understand that. I understand the general understanding of it, yes. And okay, what is it that you understand that to mean? I understand that, yes, any sort, any things in this nature are prohibited. And do you understand that it's prohibited even if it has the effect of causing these things, that creating an interfering with an individual's work performance, creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment, even if that's not the purpose of the conduct? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I understand what that states there, yes. Hudson, and you, okay. And then if you go on to the next paragraph, yes, it says that as read, sexual harassment may include a range of subtle and not so subtle behaviors. Do you understand that? I understand it. And that as read, depending on the circumstances, the behaviors can include sexual jokes and innuendo, right? I can see that there. You can see that. And do you understand that? That sexual harassment can include sexual jokes and innuendo. I understand that it's there, yes. I'm not asking you if you can read it. I'm asking if you understand it. Sure, I understand that it's there. I do. I'm not asking you if you understand it's there. Shapiro, objection. Hudson, I'm understanding. I'm sorry. If you understand the language that's being used here. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, my answer is, I understand that it's there. That's all I can give you. Hudson, that's all you can do? So you can't say whether you understand that sexual jokes and innuendo can be sexual harassment? Shapiro, objection. Hudson, according to your policy? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I understand that it says that there. Yes. Hudson, do you understand what those words mean? I do. Okay. And it also says that sexual harassment may include verbal abuse of a sexual nature. Do you understand that? I do. And that it also may include commentary about an individual's body or sexual prowess. Do you understand that those things can also be sexual harassment? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I understand that this is written here and says that. Yes, I do. Hudson, and you understand that Wayfarer's policy that those things constitute sexual harassment. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, no, I don't agree with. I'm not going to agree with that last statement. That those things constitute sexual harassment. I'm not an expert on this. Hudson, well, you agree that Wayfarer's policy says that those are among the range of behaviors that may be sexually harassing. Yeah, that's a different characterization. May versus are very different for me. So that's a distinction that was important. And you understand, though, that things like commenting on an individual's body may be sexual harassment under your policy. I'm going to say that I understand what it says here and I can follow. Do I understand it to the level that my attorney or my HR? Well, I didn't ask you that. Shapiro, objection. I'm just asking you for your understanding. I think I've testified to it. Okay, well, do you also understand that your policy provides that touching in certain circumstances may also constitute sexual harassment? I think, again, I'm not trying to be combative with you. You are a lawyer and you are really brilliant and I've seen your work and I'm not. So I want to be careful that what I'm testifying to is accurate and not. So I see that, but I also think the context when you say touching, I think that depends on what kind of touching, certainly. Well, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just trying to understand if you understand what Wayfarer's policy says. I understand what Wayfarer's policy says, yes. And you understand that it identifies certain types of behavior that can be sexually harassing, right? I see that. And the behaviors that I'm reading to you are the ones that are included in Wayfarer's policy. Do you understand that? I see it. I see that. You see it, but do you understand it? I understand that. Okay. And it also includes, as read, physical, verbal, or visual conduct of a sexual nature. That can be sexually harassing as well under Wayfarer's policy, right? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, sure. Hudson, okay. And then I would like you to move down a little on the page, a little bit to the section that focuses on supervisor and manager responsibilities. Do you see that? I do. I see it. It says, as read, if any supervisor or manager becomes aware of a violation of this policy, they are obligated to report the violation to Human Resources or management so Wayfarer Studios can investigate and, if appropriate, take corrective action. Do you see that? I do. And did you understand in your management role, you had an obligation to report to human resources anytime you became aware of conduct that fell within this policy? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, if I became aware of conduct that fell within this policy, I see that I am obligated to report that. Hudson, okay, if I became aware of it. And you understand that before this moment? Yes. Okay, and have you always understood that's your obligation? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, yes. Hudson, let's take a look at the next page ending in 3949. Okay. There's a section on investigation. Do you see that? I do. And it says, as read, any reported allegations of harassment, discrimination, or retaliation will be promptly and thoroughly investigated by qualified personnel in an impartial manner. Wayfarer Studios will ensure that these personnel will use the evidence to reach reasonable conclusions. The investigation may include individual interviews of parties involved, and Wayfarer Studios will maintain appropriate documentation and tracking to ensure reasonable progress is made. Did you understand that that was Wayfarer's policy regarding investigations? I do. Okay, and it also says at the end, as read, if misconduct is found, Wayfarer Studios shall take prompt corrective action as appropriate. Corrective action might include termination from employment. Did you understand that to be Wayfarer's policy with respect to investigation? I do. Okay, you understand it now, and you've always understood that, right? Shapiro, objection. Hudson, is that right? Correct. And you've actually been involved with investigations of workplace matters in your role as Wayfarer, correct? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I believe so. Hudson, yes. Wayfarer also has had an anti-retaliation policy, correct? It does. And it says if there are, as read, retaliation against an individual for reporting harassment or discrimination in good faith or for participating in an investigation of a claim of harassment or discrimination is a serious violation of the policy and can also subject one to disciplinary action, including termination, right? Uh-huh. Yes. Yes, I see that. Okay, all right. Did Wayfarer, was there a separate human resources department on the movie? It ends with us. A separate human resources? Yes. No. Typically, movies don't have a separate human resources department. That's your understanding? Yes. Hudson, okay, I'm going to hand you a Jamey. Typically, yes. Hudson, document that we're marking as Exhibit 2. Exhibit 2 marked for identification. Jamey, am I going to need this anymore? Shapiro, give it to the court reporter. Stenographic reporter, thank you. Jamey, you got it, thank you. Hudson, this is an email chain dated March 13th, 2023 from Alex Sachs to Andy Davis, Andrew Lieberman, Bates stamped AS000008. Now, Mr. Heath, you are not copied on this email, but it references you, and the subject is spoke to Jamey. Do you see that? I do. And it says, as read, per our conversation, and he's good, with Sony taking the lead on all workplace hotline email type things, if Sony is allowed to. He gets it all and agrees. Andrea is also aware. Who is Alex Sachs? She was our lead producer on It Ends With Us. Okay, and do you know what conversations she's referencing here? I don't know this conversation. No, I mean, did you have a conversation with Miss Sachs about Sony taking the lead on workplace hotlines and emails for the production of It Ends With Us? We may have. I don't recall it. You don't recall it? No. Okay, and do you understand why Miss Sachs thought it might be a good idea for Sony to take the lead? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't remember this conversation. This looks like this was in March, so before production. So I think she's just, as we are setting up production on the ground, this looks like she's inquiring about it, but that's all I can speak to. I don't know anything about it. Hudson, okay, but you don't have any reason to dispute that at that time you may have told Miss Sachs that Sony should take, you would be fine with Sony taking the lead on workplace hotmail email type of things. I may have. I have no reason to dispute that. I can't also confirm it. I don't recall it. Hudson, okay, I'm going to hand you a document that we'll mark as Exhibit 3. Exhibit 3 marked for identification. Jamey, thank you. Hudson, this is an email from Alex Sachs to Jamey Heath and others dated March 12th, Bates stamped Heath_48501. Now, this one you did receive, right, Mr. Heath? From Alex, this is sent to me. Yes. Do you recognize this email? I recognize the emails coming from Alex Sachs. I do. And this subject, the subject of this email is harassment and workplace hotline. Do you see that? I do. And she says, as read, was thinking this weekend, and I'm not sure what protocols Wayfarer already has in place, but I think because of Justin's role at Wayfarer, our workplace harassment protocol should come from Sony on the show. We should do their training Zoom before we start, and their email hotline should be distroed. I think that's distributed. Correct. As read, to crew upon hiring. Let me know if you will be amendable to this. Does this refresh your recollection at all about a conversation with Miss Sachs on this subject? I do not recall the conversation, but this seems all reasonable. Okay, and you think it's reasonable for her to have made that suggestion? Sure. And do you understand her concern about Justin making strike that? Do you understand that she was making the suggestion that Sony handle the training and have a workplace email and hotline because of Justin's role at Wayfarer? Do I understand that that is what she was articulating? Yes. I can see that's articulated here. Yes. And do you understand why Justin's role at Wayfarer would have an impact on her view? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I can't speak to if it impacted her view or not, other than she's making a suggestion. She's bringing it to be aware, for us to be made aware of, and that's what I see. Hudson, so Mr. Baldoni on this production, he was the director, correct? He was. He was the lead actor? He was. He was the chair? Shapiro, objection. Hudson, correct? Of Wayfarer? He was. He was also your best friend, right? Correct? One of my dear best friends, yes. Yes, so do you think it's the case that Miss Sachs was suggesting this because Mr. Baldoni held a number of senior positions within this production, and it may be difficult for Wayfarer to not be conflicted in his handling of HR matters? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, okay, I'm so sorry. You just articulated a whole narrative that I don't read in here. So I don't read that. Hudson, what do you read? What do you think she means here? She's bringing up something for us to consider, Justin's role at Wayfarer. Well, what do you think she means by Justin's role at Wayfarer? Exactly. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, that he has multiple roles, and we should consider Sony running this. Hudson, and why would multiple roles and your understanding affect who handled the HR matters? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, in my understanding or my understanding of hers, because I cannot speak to what her reasoning was and what she thought. Hudson, so you have no idea what she meant by that. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I'm not going to speculate. Hudson, you're not going to speculate? No. Shapiro, objection. Hudson, but you thought it was a good idea at the time. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I didn't necessarily think it was a good or bad idea, but at this time, there's many ideas all being thrown because it's in the middle of production, and we're figuring stuff out, and this seems like a reasonable suggestion. Hudson, okay, but you don't know why it would be reasonable. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, you want me to speculate on her reason, and I can't do that. Hudson, okay. Shapiro, counsel, let's take a 10-minute break. Hudson, well, have we even been going an hour? Shapiro, yes. Just over an hour. Videographer, an hour and 2 minutes. Hudson, fine. 10 minutes. Fine. 10 minutes. Videographer, we are going off the record. The time is 11:35 a.m. Recess. Videographer, we're back on the record. Videographer, we're back on the record. The time is 11:57 a.m. See you in part 3.